Hello, magical people. Hope you're all doing very well. My name's Meg Moonbeam, and welcome back to my YouTube, Rumble, and X channels. Today, I'm very happy to share with you all the news, Gemini news, about this upcoming full moon in Gemini that we have on Sunday, December 15th, 2024. And I'm going to talk about what this Gemini full moon means for the whole collective and each of the 12 signs. So thank you all so much for joining me, whether you're live or in the replay. Hello, Heather. Thank you so much for the super chat. I really, really appreciate that. And all the super chats, donations to the channels really help me to be able to continue doing this content. So thank you all so much for your support. Before we get into the content of today's video, I want to mention, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to the Meg Moonbeam YouTube, Rumble, and X channels. Also, I do offer personal astrology readings that are available over at consultations.beyondmystic.net. Thank you, Maria, so much for the super chat. And also, very exciting, I have my new Astrology Predictions 2025 live workshop that is available on the beyondmystic.academy. Link is also in the description box below, where I think this is an over 10-hour 4-part workshop that I did 2 weeks ago, where I went through all 12 signs for 2025 in depth. So you guys can go check that out. Excuse me. And there was something else I wanted to share. What else did I want to share? Oh, my husband Jens and I have some upcoming live events. Let me bring this up. It's on Jens's website. We're in Belgium for the holidays at the moment, and we're going to be doing, Jens and I, a live lecture in Limburg, Belgium on December 14th. I'm going to talk about the astrology coming up for 2025. Jens is going to talk about transhumanism, spiritual evolution. And then December 14th, Jens has a live lecture in Meetkerke, close to Bruges, Belgium. And then December 21st, we're doing an in-person winter solstice day retreat. And December 22nd, Jens is doing a live lecture in Antwerp. So go to Jens's website, jenspateo.be, or email Jens at jenspateo@hotmail.com. I'll put the info in the description box below. If you're nearby and you'd like to join us for some of our upcoming live events, you guys can go check that out there. So how is everybody feeling? We are in a little bit of a retrograde city. We've got some very interesting astrological transits going on at the moment. Hello, Jill. Hi, Jill and Steve. Miss you guys so much. And thank you for joining me today. Yeah, I'm going to talk to you guys about this full moon in Gemini that is going to be exact on Sunday, December 15th. And this is not a normal full moon. We've been having a lot of transits lately that are not normal, okay? And excuse me, you guys, I have to take a sip of water because this Mercury retrograde is affecting my voice at the moment. I've been hearing quite a few people, excuse me, saying they haven't been feeling 100%, been feeling sick or really tired, which is normal when we've got so much retrograde, especially Mars, which has a lot to do with health, Mercury, which also has to do with health. All the planets in astrology actually rule something in medical astrology. So this is a time where it is really important to be doing extra self-care, drinking really good water. Oh, Jane says, I'm sick now. I'm so sorry to hear that, Jane. I hope you mend up very, very soon. Yeah, take it easy out there because it is some intense energies, you guys. So I'm going to talk about what this full moon means for the collective, and then we'll get into each of the 12 sign readings for this full moon as well. So the full moon in Gemini is going to be exact on Sunday, December 15th at 4:01 a.m. Eastern time. That'll be the exact moment, 4:01 a.m. Eastern time. And as always, you guys, full moons are our time in the lunation cycle of completion, release, letting go, also of illumination. Okay, so if you think about the full moon, the moon is at her brightest when she is full and she illuminates the dark night. There's things that we can see during a full moon outside that we don't see when she's in her new moon phase. We don't see when she's in any of her other phases. So even though it is intense and it is a challenging lunation, because at a full moon, the sun and moon are always in an opposition, there's also light and clarity and illumination that comes as well. So not just intense releases, but of course, the full moon is the best time of the lunation cycle to do cleansing, to do release work. So you guys are going to want to see where you have 23 degrees of Gemini in your personal astrology charts, if you'd like to see what area of life is being activated by this full moon. So see what house you have 23 degrees of Gemini, any planets that you have within 5 degrees either side of 23 degrees of Gemini are going to be really activated areas of life. And this is interesting because Gemini is one of the lighter signs in astrology. So, okay, we're lucky, you guys, because there's a lot of wonkiness with this full moon, as I'm going to be sharing. It's in a T-square to Neptune. We got Mars retrograde in an opposition to Pluto. We've got some funky stuff going on. We are very, very lucky that it is a full moon in Gemini, which is not a malefic sign. It is not a heavy sign. It's actually one of the lighter signs in astrology. So Gemini rules information, common sense, social media, news, all ways that we receive and exchange information, things being doubled. Okay, if you think of Gemini, the symbol of Gemini is the twins. So it also rules things being doubled, things expanding, being multiplied, siblings, friends, local community, school, children. Okay, those are some of the main things that Gemini rules. Gemini also rules a lot of other things in astrology. So nothing too heavy, okay? But this full moon is in a square to Neptune, okay, who is the strongest outer planet at the moment, Neptune in his home sign of Pisces, in a T-square, right, which is the sun and moon being in an opposition, as they always are at a full moon, both in square to Neptune. We call this a T-square aspect chart formation. So we're getting more of the adverse influence of Neptune, right? What is Neptune in adverse influence? This is about confusion. This is about lies. This is about deception and illusion. And as I was preparing for today's video, I was feeling really, really strong. And I actually put it in the title of the video, fact or fiction. Okay. So one way we can work with this full moon is to ask ourselves, what is fact in our lives? And what is in fact fiction? Okay. And we can actually receive really great clarity and insights and downloads if we are connected to our common sense at the time of this full moon. Gemini rules common sense. But if we are in illusions, if we are in fantasy land, which is Neptune, this could actually be a very challenging, very adverse full moon for some of us, okay? And for some of us in the collective. So Spirit's wanting me to bring up how, you know, there's many of us that are on this consciousness journey where we're opening up, we're going through a spiritual awakening. And part of that spiritual awakening, definitely, I'll speak for myself. Part of my spiritual awakening is going through, you know, going from being in that spiritual bypasser phase where it's all love and light and we're shifting into the age of Aquarius and it can be easy and effortless. It doesn't need to be hard, right? You're negative if you say anything bad, right? I used to think like that at the beginning of my spiritual journey. But then coming into the Gemini, the common sense, the grounded thinking, right? The truth is, the fucking truth is, okay, we are on a planet where it is not all love and light, okay? There is duality going on this planet. There's some really screwed up things going on this planet. Well, at the same time, there's amazing miracles and very high vibrations and sacred sites and light workers and all this magical stuff going on the planet at the same time. So Gemini is the facts of what is actually going on in the physical reality, right? So this is a beautiful full moon where, yes, we can be in meditation. Yes, we can be in spiritual practice. Yes, we can be raising our consciousness, right? Expanding ourselves. But if we are not grounded in common sense, in the facts of the reality of what is actually going on, then you have no structure in your spirituality. And that can be actually some really scary spirituality. Neptune, when it's unbalanced, yes, it's the planet that rules spirituality, creativity, magic, the magical realms. But in adverse placement, this is not seeing things clearly. This is living in a fantasy land. This is being in an illusion, right? This is doing drugs and thinking that that's all real. This is escapism. This is, Spirit also wants me to say, not all signs and synchronicities are necessarily good. Now, that sounds really weird for me to say, but sometimes if we get caught up in an illusion, we can actually create even signs, synchronicities, dreams, pulling certain oracle cards off of that illusion. And people around us can be feeding off of that as well. So with this full moon in Gemini, the sign of common sense, the facts of life, during a Sagittarius season where we've got Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius, stationing direct on the same day as the full moon. This is like, I probably sound like such a drama queen. This is so much potent energy at this time. An amazing way we can work with this is, are we living in fact or are we living in fiction? Okay. And none of us are perfect. And for some of us, this may be a really big thing where maybe this full moon brings to the surface, like, actually, you've got, I don't know, like an alcohol problem or a sex addiction or a porn addiction or something like that, that you weren't necessarily aware of was such a big issue, right? This can be really subconscious. Neptune deals with the subconscious, hidden and addictive issues and patterns, right? So even for those of us who are not necessarily, and I know most of you guys, I think all of you guys listening to my channel are pretty awake. Not that we're better than other people who aren't, but we're pretty awake, right? We've still got our issues. We've all got our issues. Jenny, thank you. You took the words out of my mouth. Social media addiction, for sure. That's something that I'm personally grappling with at the moment, for sure. So I've already been through the drugs. I've already been through the alcohol. I went through that at a very early age. I've been very open about that on my channels. But a Neptune addiction that I'm personally dealing with at the moment is definitely social media, is definitely the phone. And it's like so fucking addictive. And a lot of us are addicted to that. And I think that that's going to be coming. I love that you brought this up, Jenny, and you took the words out of my mouth. Neptune rules the addiction of social media and screens, right? And every time that we're on the screens, yes, like I'm doing this video right now, and I'm so grateful for my YouTube channel. I'm so grateful for my astrology practice that I can do online, right? But the truth is, this is not real physical life, right? The balance between the real physical life and the technology that we now have and the social media, which has amazing positives to it. We're able to share information. We're able to watch documentaries and alternative news and connect to like-minded people all over the world, but also has huge downsides, right? Like, and I'll just share from a personal level as well. For me, one downside for me is having the phone. And I know I am working a lot and I am doing my astrology full time and all that, but I'm noticing before I had a smartphone, and I was still working, doing other things. I used to play music all the time. I used to write poetry all the time. I was way more creative than now with this phone, that it's so easy to just, like PJ is saying, me too, scrolling disease. Just scroll, 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 scroll. And they're programmed to be addictive, where we're on it for hours and hours and hours. So yeah, I'm seeing a lot of you resonating, saying, Jane, also, I struggle with that. Social media is just as addictive, right? So, and Philip says, moderation is key. Definitely. So this full moon is highlighting our addictions, whatever that is, our subconscious issues, where we escape, right? Escapism. And also highlighting, what the hell? Sorry, you guys, I'm hearing a really strange noise. What the hell? Okay, sorry, my cat is doing something really weird. What was I going to say? Sorry, I just lost my train of thought there. The cats are distracting me. Oh, right. I was going to say that this full moon is highlighting our addictions, whether that's to social media, which Gemini rules social media. Also, Neptune in a T-square to this full moon rules social media. Drugs, alcohol, any form of escapism, any form of illusion, right? Neptune is also mind control and programming, propaganda. Okay, so this full moon is also highlighting through information that is going to come out. And I think there is going to be very key, important information that is going to come out with this full moon in the collective regarding truth, regarding common sense, regarding the medical system, regarding experiments that have been going on the past 4 years. This is our first full moon with Pluto at 0 degrees of Aquarius. So a big revealing around Aquarius, the experiments that have been going on, which is going to trip people's mental health out that have taken part in those experiments, that have taken part in those medical experiments is the right word. I'm on YouTube, so I got to be careful, but I know that you guys know what I'm talking about here, right? So there's a lot of different pieces to this full moon in Gemini. Great. Let me just recap for a sec. Great insights can come through when we are grounded in our common sense. Okay. Addictions that are issues for us can be coming up to the surface, right? People that have been under mind control, that are under the mind control and the propaganda still, they're going to be very highlighted. And this is probably going to be a challenging time for them, where they will be tripped out by information that is true, that is based off of common sense, coming out into the collective. Okay. So again, and I know I've said this before, but it's important for us to hold space for those that are waking up, right? To hold space for those that, most people have really good intentions, but the brainwashing and the mind control that has been done on the collective our whole lives, and in particular the past few years, it's a miracle that not all of us are completely under a mind control, actually, when you think about it, right? I love this full moon as well for anything like journaling, affirmations, communication, spoken word practices, all ruled by Gemini. Gemini is talking and communication and our voice, along with the sign of Taurus. So at this full moon, you know, releasing through your voice, releasing through journaling, releasing through writing a letter to someone that's hurt you, or, you know, to yourself, forgiving yourself, and then burning that. I love that kind of ritual for a full moon in Gemini. Laura, thank you so much. You say like, share, and subscribe. Let's get Meg over 10,000. Yes, I'm almost at 10,000 subscribers. So thank you so much, Laura. Please remember, you guys, to like, share, and subscribe. And yeah, important to mention as well that the dispositor of this full moon, Mercury, who's the ruler of Gemini, is stationed direct on the exact day of this full moon. So yay, Mercury retrograde will be over by end of day, late afternoon Eastern time on Sunday, December 15th. But at the exact time of the full moon, Mercury is still retrograde, right? So it's still about healing the past. It's still about looking back. And very important information is going to get revealed with this full moon during the full moon portal from starting on Thursday, going until next Wednesday, that has to do with the truth of the past, in particular, the medical system. Okay, in particular, with Pluto at 0 degrees of Aquarius, experiments that have been done on people. Also, and there's so many pieces to this, Mars is retrograde in Leo at a Leo degree at the time of this full moon, in an opposition to Pluto at critical 0 degrees in Aquarius. First full moon with Pluto in Aquarius. This Mars retrograde in Leo is highlighting information coming out around children, child abuse, child sex trafficking, political leaders. Okay. So this is a lot where I'm feeling intuitively like with that T squared in Neptune, there's something confusing about this full moon. And it feels like even though there are great truths that I think are going to be released, revealed, there's also going to be a great lie that comes out to the public. So I want you guys to be very discerning around information that you hear, news sources that you listen to. Excuse me, we could even have exposing of not just mainstream, but also alternative news sources as well at the time of this full moon. The news reporters, podcasts, podcasters, all highlighted, all ruled by Gemini, the sign of this full moon. And something really big is going to be revealed with Pluto, the planet of revealing, at that 0 degree critical degree in Aquarius, which is the future and moving forward and shocks and surprises. Thank you, Laura, so much for the super chat. I love you guys so much. So there can be mental health issues coming up for people that have been struggling with not being grounded in the common sense, right? That have been maybe really into the wokeism, woke agenda. And I invite you guys again to reflect on what is in fact in your life and what is in fact fiction in your life. Also, what is your relationship to social media? Are you addicted to it? What can you do to amend that addiction? Right? So for me, and I'm still struggling with it, but for me personally, I am doing it some days. I'm very proud of myself. I am doing it some days. I'm still in the process of actually doing it every day, but I'm starting a new practice where for the first hour after I wake up, I do not look at my phone. I do not look at any screens. So I go for a walk, or I do some yoga, or I make breakfast, or I move, I dance, I do something where that's not the very first thing. Right? So just sharing that little example with you guys. And if any of you guys have any tips or tricks of how you've gotten over certain addictions that you've maybe experienced in your life, whether that's through substances, whether that's through social media and the internet, whatever it is, I invite you guys to share that in the live chat, in the comments below, so we can all help each other through this process. Celestial Emma, delete apps off phone and only check via the computer, for example. That is a really good tip. Thank you, Celestial Emma. That is a really good tip. And let's see, what else did I want to share? Oh, also, this full moon in Gemini is highlighting, where are we getting our information from? And does that actually truly even resonate with you at your core? Or has that just become a habit of a certain news source or podcast or something that you're listening to, right? Where are you getting your information? And does that actually really resonate with you? Does it uplift you? Is it fear-mongering? Right? We want to be aware of that duality, of that dark and light of life. But if there's a news source that's just constantly fear-mongering all the time, maybe it's not something that's in alignment for us to be listening to, for us to be taking part in. So this is a very big full moon of release with Pluto at critical degrees, first full moon with Aquarius, Pluto and Aquarius, T-square to Neptune. These are two malefics in very strong aspects. Also the Mars-Pluto opposition. So I highly advise you guys drinking a lot of water, doing extra earthing, connecting to nature, and connecting to the full moon through whatever practices resonate with you guys. I shared with you one of my favorite practices for a full moon in Gemini is writing out a letter of what I'm releasing, forgiving myself for anything that I might be upset at myself about, forgiving others, writing it down, Gemini is writing, and then saying it out loud, Gemini is speaking, and then throwing it into, I like to throw it into a fire, my fireplace that's going at the moment, and let it go. Okay. Are there any other practices that you can do through the spoken word, through singing, through, whatever practices you like to do? Full moon is all about completion of what no longer serves us in our life. For many of us, this is going to be around addictions, subconscious behavioral patterns, information that we've been taking in, news sources that we've been taking in, also friendships. Gemini rules friendships and socialization, right? And day-to-day entertainment, what we find entertaining. Okay, and before we get into the readings for each of the 12 signs for this full moon, I wanted to bring up the transit chart of President Donald Trump, okay? Because this is a very interesting full moon for him. This full moon, of course, is at 23 degrees of Gemini, and President Trump has his sun at 22 degrees of Gemini. Okay, so this moon is only 1 degree off from being exactly conjunct President Trump's natal sun in his 10th house. So, I mean, it's not that crazy of a prediction for me to make as an astrologer that President Trump is going to be very highlighted, very in the spotlight with this full moon. Okay. And I think that there could be some sort of important information that he is going to be revealing to the public that may be putting him in a compromising situation. Okay. Now, let me be very clear. I'm not saying that President Trump is going to get assassinated, and I am living with an intention that I am on a timeline where President Trump does not get assassinated. Okay. But I need to be honest with you guys that there's a couple markers here in the astrology for this full moon where we may see a possible third assassination attempt be put on Trump. So I invite you guys, if it resonates with you, to send your prayers, send your positive energy and support to Trump and the Trump transition team. Okay. The reason why I'm saying this is because this full moon conjunct his sun also has the transit sun in an opposition to his natal sun. Transit Neptune in a T-square to this full moon is square his sun, square his south node, square his moon. So Neptune can deal with loss. Neptune can deal with assassination and assassination attempts. And he's currently got transit Neptune in his 8th house of Scorpio. Okay. He also has transit Mars retrograde conjunct his natal Pluto in the 12th house of Pisces, also assassination. So hopefully there is not a third assassination attempt, but that is a astrological potential with this full moon in Gemini. And Jenny, you took the words out of my mouth again. You're reading my mind tonight, because I was just about to say this can also deal with, as you're saying, Jenny, hidden enemies. Okay. This is a full moon where it can become pretty obvious to Trump if he's got a hidden enemy around him, which I think he does. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. I haven't looked at every single person's chart around President Trump, every single person's chart in the Trump transition team. Okay. I'm going to have to do some homework around that. there's definitely someone, or maybe more than one person that is around him that is a hidden enemy. And why I'm saying that is because the 12th house deals with hidden enemies. The planet Neptune, the ruler of the 12th house, deals with hidden enemies. With Mars retrograde in Leo, conjunct his Pluto. So it's highlighting hidden enemies if there are any, which I think it's very likely that there is around him. So let's send some positive prayers over to him. I think there is something likely to be challenging that President Trump is involved in around this full moon in Gemini. And if there's not, I hope that I'm wrong about that. Okay, then I'm wrong, and that's great. But he's definitely in the spotlight for something. And it's going to be some sort of challenge that he's dealing with. Okay, could be a scandal coming out about someone around him that is not who they say that he is. It will be very interesting to see how that plays out for sure. RG says, that's what Tarot Isabella said, third attempt. Interesting. I didn't know that Tarot Isabella said that. Thank you for sharing that, RG. So yeah, I also wanted to mention that I find it so interesting that President Trump is a Gemini. Pierre Poilievre, the current conservative leader of Canada, our next Prime Minister of Canada, also a Gemini. And JFK, also a Gemini. Many of these freedom-loving politicians, also podcasters, truth speakers in the alternative media, a lot are Gemini or have major Gemini placements. The sign of common sense and the facts of reality. So I just find it really interesting that a lot of those people have those Gemini placements. Now, I know some of you guys are saying in the live chat, yeah, pray for Trump every day. I don't want to freak you guys out. I do think that there are a lot of dark energies trying to take Trump down, and we already know that. Okay. The first assassination attempt that we know of that happened with the Mars-Uranus algal conjunction that I actually predicted back in the summer to pretty much the day or within the few days, that was real assassination attempt. And that was a miracle that President Trump survived that. Okay. So I do think that it's by the grace of God, the universe, that he's here and he's meant to be here. And I do, yeah, light worker. Hi, Luke. I do agree that he's divinely protected. And any of the dark arts things, tricks up their sleeve that they may try to do always backfires. We've seen that the past few years. Everything they do backfires. So let's remember that and send positive prayers to all our fellow freedom fighters out there. Okay, so now we're going to go through each of the 12 signs for this full moon in Gemini on Sunday, December 15th. Let me know in the live chat or the comments below your sun, moon, rising, and how you're feeling with your full moon in Gemini prediction. DigiBean says, we are all divinely protected. Totally agree with you, DigiBean. And we allow, let's use our voices, our Gemini voices, and say out loud, I allow for divine protection to surround me now. I allow for divine protection to surround all the politicians of the light, all the light workers in love. We allow divine protection to surround all of us now, forever and for always, moving forward. Okay, so to the Aries for this full moon in Gemini. Aries, 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 you are having this full moon happen in your third house, okay? The third house for you in the solar charts is, of course, Gemini. And there's a T-square to this full moon with Neptune on your ascendant, okay? So Neptune is at 27 degrees of Pisces at the time of this full moon in Gemini, getting ready as we go into 2025 to enter your sign of Aries, where he will be exactly conjunct your rising. So Aries, there can be some issues coming up to the surface regarding maybe if you're an Aries that does excess partying in your local community, or there could be addictive issues coming to the surface regarding friends, siblings, okay? Maybe addictions that you have to people around you or certain relationships can be coming up to the surface. This is definitely a good full moon to be releasing through some of the Gemini practices that I talked about earlier. So through your voice, through journaling, through writing, through affirmations. This is definitely a good full moon for you to be honest with yourself also about your relationship to social media, your friends, your communication streams, all ruled by the third house. Okay. We've got the dispositor of this full moon. Mercury is retrograde, of course, in your ninth house. So again, very profound insights that can be coming through when you are rooted in common sense and the reality of what's going on. And Mercury at the time of this full moon is in a trine to Mars, your planetary ruler. So there's actually some really big empowering release and insights that can come forward for you at this full moon. Pay close attention to your relationships, your friendships, your siblings, also your physical body. With this full moon in T-squared to Neptune on the rising, that can have to do with your physical body. Maybe there's addictive issues with some sort of food or even some sort of exercise. So be honest with yourself, Aries, about what doesn't uplift you, what might be a form of escapism. You could be feeling that Neptune energy a lot stronger than some of the other signs with that Neptune on your rising. So I love you guys all so much, and I'm wishing you a very happy full moon in Gemini. Next, we have our Taurus sun, moon, and risings. Happy full moon. This full moon in Gemini is happening in your second house, and it's in a T-square to Neptune in your 11th house. So with this full moon in your second house, this could be the release of values, self-worth issues that you've been dealing with, income streams that no longer serve you. I'm getting the energy that for Tauruses, there can be new, exciting income streams that can be coming forward and insights that you can be getting with that, with Mercury, the dispositor of this full moon, in your 8th house of Scorpio, the other house of finances, also investing. So, making investment choices that are rooted in common sense, the reality of what is actually going on. But I would wait to make any, big investment choices until after Mercury has gone retrograde, after this full moon, after December 15th. And you can also be really releasing any friendships that maybe there's truths being revealed about that, with Neptune in the 11th house of friendships, group associations. This is definitely, Taurus, not a good full moon to be like drinking with friends or doing plant medicine in a group of people, with Neptune that rules those things in the 11th house of groups of people. This is a full moon where it's good for you to be strong in your values, in your own self, maybe even spending some time alone. Of course, Gemini does rule relationships and friendships, but just be mindful what you're doing, who you're spending time around with this full moon, because you can be very sensitive to those energies with Neptune in your 11th house as well. And with the dispositor Mercury in your 8th house as well, that's also highlighting soulmates, committed relationships, merging with others. So there can be soul contracts that you're letting go of at this full moon, which makes space for new relationships to come forward. So I love you all, Tauruses, so much, and I'm sending so much cosmic love your way. Have a very happy full moon in Gemini. Cool. Crystal Palace says, wonderful, Meg, as I'm experiencing the Taurus abundance. That's beautiful. Okay, Geminis. This is your annual full moon in your sign. Happy full moon in Gemini. This, of course, is happening in your first house. Okay, so you can be going through a release of your identity and your very foundations of life and how you present yourself out into the world. And Geminis, it's interesting because you guys have two different personalities, two different parts of yourselves. Sometimes Geminis can get the bad rap because you do rule things being doubled and having two different sides, right? But that can actually be something that, when used in a grounded way, when used in a common sense way, can actually work to your advantage, because you guys are like chameleons, shapeshifters in a good way, where Geminis can plant themselves in any situation, talk to anybody, be interested in learning anything. But I'm feeling intuitively with this full moon, it's like you're taking your power back, you're taking your energy back from potential places where you've left yourself behind. Okay. And with Neptune, the planet that's in a T square to this full moon, in your 10th house, older people, parents, grandparents can be really highlighted. Taking your power back from people that have maybe been in an authority position, a boss position, a parental position in your life, right? And there's amazing insights that can be coming through, as this is your annual full moon in your sign. Again, if you are grounded and let go of other people's energies, let go of other people's projections, and really come into your strength and your sovereignty. We've got the dispositor Mercury in the 7th house. So that is highlighting your love life. That is highlighting your work relationships. Could be even some potential breakups coming up for some of the Geminis, some potential releasing of committed contracts, relationships that no longer serve at the time of this full moon. You may be feeling more tired than usual with Neptune in a T square to this full moon. So just making sure you're eating properly, drinking really good water, doing some extra self-care. But again, really profound insights that I think you guys can be receiving. So love you, Gemini, so much, and sending lots of cosmic love your way. Next, we move to our Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Risings. And you guys, I invite you to listen to your Sun and Rising signs, most importantly, as we go through these. You can also listen to your Moon sign for more personal psychological interpretations. So Cancies, as I like to call you guys, you're having this full moon in Gemini in your 12th house, which is the Pisces ruled areas of life, in a T square to Neptune in Pisces, the ruling planet of Pisces, conjunct your midheaven. Okay. So Cancers, this is a full moon that can feel very dreamy, creative, spiritual. I want you guys to be really, really honest with yourself of illusions, lies, deceptions in your life. Okay. That you are telling yourself, and that other people, places, things outside of you are telling you. There's a very strong Piscean Neptunian influence here for you, with Neptune right on your midheaven, this full moon in your 12th house. So if you are grounded and you are rooted in common sense, this can actually be an amazing full moon for letting go of subconscious behavioral patterns and addictions that no longer serve you, being coming to the realization about some things that may have been illusions. Some of these things may even be shocking, okay? Because we do have Pluto at 0 degrees of Aquarius, profound shocks and surprises. So maybe there's some friends, some people around you who aren't actually as they say they are, some community members or neighbors that aren't actually as they say they are. There could even be hidden enemies coming to the surface. The 12th house deals with hidden enemies. But yes, Jenny is right. Amazing for creativity, amazing for healing and spiritual practices. Be honest with yourself about what is coming up. And there's amazing healing breakthroughs that can come through. And pay attention to your dreams, because there can be very profound dreams. Love you, Cancers, so, so much. And wishing you a very happy full moon in Gemini. Okay, Leos, you guys are having this full moon in Gemini in your 11th house, in T square to Neptune in your 8th house of Scorpio. So you guys can be experiencing release, letting go, completion of actually an addiction to social media. This is the 11th house of technology, of social media, of a way that you've been presenting yourself online, or a certain form of online work, online relationships, friendships, group associations. You've got the dispositor of this full moon, Mercury, in your 5th house. So you can be feeling very creative, very inspired to be in your confidence and your bravery and your empowerment. And similar to what I was saying to the Geminis, it feels like you're letting go, Leo, of other people's energies that maybe you've taken on or have been projected onto you. And you're coming back into your own strength, into your own sun being. And this is a highly creative full moon in Gemini for you. Connecting to your inner child can be very, very positive as well. With that T square to Neptune in your 8th house, there can be some very profound letting go of addictions. Neptune has to do with addictions. 8th house of Scorpio has to do with addictions and deep-seated traumas that maybe you've been holding. I know that sounds intense, Leos. This is an amazing full moon for any kind of therapeutic work, any kind of spiritual healing work as well. And it is good for you to spend time with friends and in groups of people, but again, discernment of what energies are yours and what energies are not yours. DigiBean says, discerning your way forward. Yes, for sure. So I'm sending lots of love your way, Leos, and have a very happy full moon in Gemini. Jenny says, codependency releasing. My best friend is a Leo rising. Yes, that's definitely a theme that I've been seeing with some of the Leos, releasing codependency, releasing other people's energy, right? And Leos, you're strong enough, you're cool enough, you are the sun beings, you are the lions of the zodiac, to be strong and brave and be in your own energy. You guys are natural leaders. So a lot you're releasing from others at this time. So Virgos, happy full moon in Gemini. You are having this full moon in your 10th house, okay? So there can be a release or completion to a work project or even a career, a completion having to do with an older person in your life, a parent or a grandparent as well. There could be very healing conversations happening with those kind of people in your life. We've got this full moon in a T square to Neptune in your 7th house. So I just heard Spirit say for some Virgos, there may be a bubble popping about a lover or a work partner. And, you know, if you have been looking at a certain relationship in kind of a fantasy land perspective, that bubble could definitely be popped with this full moon. And I'm hearing spirits ask you, Virgos, you know, is who you are in a relationship or attracted to or dating, are they in alignment with your values? Do they respect you? Do they uplift you? Do they have some serious issues or even addictions themselves? Neptune in the 7th house could be those lovers, those work partners, those others in our lives actually going through major issues themselves where they need to heal themselves before they can be in a healthy relationship with you. Okay, so something to think about. We've got also the dispositor of this full moon, Mercury, in your 4th house, highlighting your home and family, and some big insights or downloads coming in regarding those areas of your life. And it feels important for Virgos also with this full moon to be looking at your work, private life balance. And is that in a good place? Is that something that maybe needs some adjustment at this time? Also, this full moon is illuminating your long-term goals and your passions that you want to do moving forward. With it being in the sign of Gemini, say those things out loud. You know, of course, full moons we associate with completion and letting go, but we can also say out loud, illuminate to the universe what are our intentions as we move forward with our long-term goals. So your work, your career, your relationships are all very highlighted with this full moon, Virgos, and I'm sending lots of cosmic love your way. Libra, sun, moon, and risings. We've got this full moon in Gemini happening in your 9th house. So this is interesting because Gemini is the opposite sign to Sagittarius, which is the sign associated with the 9th house. And Gemini and Sagittarius both have to do with our beliefs and what we learn, right? So for many Libras, there can be belief systems coming to a completion point, releasing of beliefs or spiritual philosophical practices that no longer serve you, letting go of, again, and I keep hearing this come up for some of the signs, letting go of other people's projections, letting go of other people's stuff. Gemini is one of those air signs that deals with other people and our relationships. So this feels like it's a message actually for all 12 of the signs. And for you, Libra, of course, you are the sign that rules other people. So you are the most likely, actually, out of any of the signs to take on other people's stuff because you're so loving, you're so polite, you love to make people feel good, you love to be harmonious and in balance. So being honest with yourself about what is yours and what is not yours, and are there beliefs that you have been holding that actually don't belong to you? Okay. And with Neptune in T square to this full moon in your 6th house, the beliefs we take on, the energy that we take on, the people that we surround ourselves can actually affect our health. So some of you guys may notice that as you let go of certain relationships and beliefs, it can heal your health in certain ways, for sure. Mercury, the dispositor of this full moon, is in the 3rd house. So friendships are very highlighted. There can be big insights coming forward around your friends, around your local community, around what you want to learn moving forward. Some Libras may be completing a course or a subject they've been studying at the time of this full moon, and it can be illuminated to you at this full moon, something new to step into to learn. So love you, Libras, so, so much. And I'm wishing you a very happy full moon in Gemini. Next, we move to our Scorpio, sun, moon, and risings. Do we have any fellow Scorpios here? Let me know in the live chat or the comments below. I've got my sun in Scorpio, so shout out to all my fellow Scorps. We've got this full moon in Gemini happening in our 8th house, which is our home house, the Scorpio ruled house. Okay. So Scorpios, this can be a very empowering and healing full moon for us. And I've been noticing it with many Scorpios that I've been talking to and around me. This is profound healing breakthroughs that can take place. Healing breakthroughs from our inner child. Gemini is one of the signs that rules the inner child. Healing breakthroughs around information that we've been taking on, beliefs that we have, relationships that we've had. So Scorpios, definitely recommend, this is a full moon, to be doing real deal healing practices, shamanic healing, psychotherapy, spiritual cleansing. Okay, all ruled by Scorpio. Very, very profound. Oh, Jenny, so cool. You did your first astrology video. That is super empowering. Good for you, Jenny. It's also highlighting our occult gifts, right? Full moon in the 8th house, our psychic abilities, our hidden gifts and talents. And there may be secrets coming to the surface with this full moon in our 8th house that may bring up some triggers, but can help us to move forward in a more positive and empowered light, right? So we've also got Neptune in T square to this full moon. Yeah, there's a lot around the inner child for Scorpios coming to the surface with this full moon. Neptune in the 5th house of inner children. Gemini, the sign of this full moon, we also relate to inner children. So Scorpios, I would really recommend doing healing practices, taking it easy, not overbooking yourself, because there may be some intense things coming up to the surface. And no need to fear, we can handle it. Okay, we're Scorpios and we can handle it. And Scorpios, as well as the Aries, are going through huge release of toxicity in our lives with that Mars-Pluto opposition to each other, our 2 planetary rulers in opposition at the time of this full moon and for the whole next 2 months. And also the dispositor Mercury of this full moon in trine to Mars. So intense healing that can come up to the surface and releasing of toxicity in our lives on a very deep level. Love you, Scorpios, so, so much. And I'm wishing you a very happy full moon in Gemini. Okay, next we go to our Saggy Waggies. And for Saggies, you're having this full moon in Gemini in your 7th house. Okay, so this could be the completion of a love relationship, a work relationship, a partnership, a commitment, contract, or even aesthetic style that you've been having. Saggies, I want you to look at your relationships that you have. This has been a very big theme I've been saying for a lot of the other signs. Gemini is one of those relationship signs, but this is in your 7th house of love and work relationships and commitments, right? Are they based off common sense? Or is it based off a fantasy and something that doesn't even make sense? And are there people around you that are potentially draining you? Okay. Are you taking on a lot of stuff from a family member? We've got Neptune in T-square to this full moon in your 4th house. Do you need to maybe heal from some ancestral issue or heal from something you've taken on from a family member? Okay. Something for you to think about with this full moon. It's also illuminating the people that you want to have around you, the energies that you want to have around you, and what you want to commit to yourself moving forward. So love you, Saggy, so much. Gemini, of course, is your opposite sign. And we've got the Mercury retrograde in your sign right now. We are in Saggy season. So happy birthday, solar return to all my Saggies out there. Very powerful insights that can come through with Mercury retrograde in your sign. Mercury stationing direct at the time of this full moon. So definitely make time for meditation, prayer, whatever practices you like to do to receive some profound insights. Love you guys so much. Next is our Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Risings. You are having this full moon in Gemini in your 6th house. So it's highlighting your health, your day-to-day work, your pets, your organization and day-to-day routines. And in the sign of Gemini is, how can you bring more lightness to your life and your routines and your health? And has there been a health issue that some of you guys have been putting off that needs to be taken care of? Okay. We've got Neptune in T-square to this full moon, conjunct your IC, conjunct the very bottom of your chart. So there's actually some very profound healing breakthroughs that can come through, some realization about emotional issues that you've been dealing with, physical health issues that you've been dealing with. Maybe try something alternative. We've got Pluto 0 degrees of Aquarius. So there's all kind of alternative therapies that are coming out. Go into your local community. If you have been putting off some sort of health issue, go see the local naturopath. Go to the local yoga studio. Go to the local EE systems. Am I saying that right, you guys? Seek local professional nourishment, okay? And even if there isn't a major health issue going on, nourish your physical body and your physical health and routines through going to a class in your local community. That can be something really great with this full moon. So love you all so much. You're cleansing out routines and health issues that you're ready to let go of. And have a very happy new moon to all the Capricorns. Sorry, full moon, all the Capricorns. And next we go to our Aquarian Sun, Moon, and Risings. You guys are having this full moon in your 5th house, in the fun house, okay? So this is going to be lighter for you compared to a lot of the other signs. This can be a full moon where you can definitely go have fun in your local community, go to a full moon ceremony, go to a full moon class of some sort. That can be very uplifting for you. It is in alignment for you, Aquarians, to have fun, to be creative, to uplift yourself with this full moon, okay? We do have Neptune in a T-square to this full moon in your 2nd house. So there can be addictions to money or making money coming forward, addictions to material things that could possibly be coming forward if there are any addictive issues coming to the surface. And we do, of course, have Pluto, the planet that with Neptune rules addictions and deep subconscious issues at 0 degrees of Aquarius in your sign. This is our first full moon in Pluto and Aquarius transit. So there could be some very profound healing breakthroughs that come up for you at this time of this full moon. I think it's great for you to go out and have some fun, but also make time to be on your own, to be in reflection, to tune into the fact that we are in Pluto and Aquarius. This is freaking crazy. And you are going through cleansing of toxicity, cleansing of heaviness for the whole next 20 years of your life with Pluto in Aquarius. So attuning to the full moons is very, very positive for you. Very great practice that I know has changed my life. And yeah, so let me know, Aquarians, how you guys are feeling in the chat. Very curious. Let me know. Sending you guys lots and lots of love. Okay, and last but not least, we've got our magical creature, Pisces. You guys are having this full moon in Gemini in your 4th house. So it's highlighting your home, your family, your emotional well-being, your very foundation of life, your sensitivities. So there can be a big emotional release that you experience at the time of this full moon. Pisces, any addictions, any escapism is definitely for sure highlighted because we've got Neptune, your modern day planetary ruler, in your sign in T-square to this full moon. So Pisces, if you've been struggling with some kind of addictive issue, subconscious behavioral pattern, maybe talk to a family member about it with this full moon in your 4th house. Talk to a close loved one if you've been really struggling with something. You don't need to keep everything to yourself. I noticed that a lot of Pisces, they keep a lot of stuff hidden to themselves, and they're the most sensitive sign. So this is a very good full moon for having maybe a heart-to-heart with a family member, doing some sort of therapeutic practice with the family member. Ancestral healing practices can be great with this full moon in your 4th house as well. And spending time at home and with the family can be great as well. We've got the dispositor Mercury in your 10th house. So there could be big insights or revelations around your long-term goals, your career, your parents, and your grandparents coming forward at the time of this full moon. So sorry, you guys. I just knocked myself out of the studio there. So funny. I was just done talking about Pisces and I just got knocked out. So sorry about that, you guys. So, yeah, we have gone to the end of all 12 signs. We've talked about the collective as well. I was just about right before I did my disappearing act in a very Pisces fashion, Pisces rules disappearing. I was going to bring up DigiBean's comment. Addictions are being brought up now so that we can clear them. Yes, 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 yes. I love that. I love that. Addictions, that can even be an affirmation for us, DigiBean, for this full moon. My addictions are being brought up to the surface now so that I can clear them. I love that. And if you're someone that you're not going through any major addictions, then that's great. You are energetically supporting most of the collective that is going through that. Okay. So thank you guys so much for joining me. Before I finish up, again, I want to mention that Jens and I have some live events that are coming up in Belgium while we're here for the holidays. So you guys can go check that out at jenspateo.be, my husband's website. I'll put the info in the description box below. And I've got my 2025 astrology predictions workshop available on the Beyond Mystic Academy. I'll also put the link below. It's $35 USD for an over 10-hour 4-part workshop, all about the predictions for each of the 12 signs for 2025. So you guys can go check that out if you haven't checked that out already. And I do astrology readings as well that are currently booking into June of 2025. So if you'd like to book in, you can go to consultations.beyondmystic.net. And I really appreciate all your support, listening to my content, liking, sharing, and subscribing, leaving a donation or a super chat if you ever feel to. I love you guys so much, and I'm so, so grateful that I am able to do my passion of astrology and share it with you all. So I'm sending so much love your way. It is a wonky energy out there. It is a wonky full moon, but let's support each other in being grounded, in being in our common sense, to make the most out of it, to heal through it. And I will see you guys on the other side of it. I will be with you every step of the way this upcoming week as we are in the full moon portal. Let me know anything that you're also feeling from your own personal intuition about this full moon in the comments below. And I love you all so, so much. So thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.